Okay, so good morning everyone. Today we are going to look at how to use Bootstrap, which is a CSS framework in our web design projects. Okay, so far what we have done, let's have a quick recap of that. So I'm going to open VS Code first and then walk you through the things we did so far. So we created this from scratch, wrote all these code to build this, right? So we can say now that we have a good understanding of how HTML elements can be organized in the HTML file and how they can be referenced in the CSS file and accordingly styled, right? Yesterday we had understood flex boxes and the properties and the values associated with the same. Now, what we are gonna do today is very much related to where we left yesterday, which was primarily about organizing content within a layout. And a few of the concerns we had was how can we make the code modular? Modular in a sense, without writing much, how we can accomplish more. So this is the reason why we have leveraged classes such as features. If you go to the HTML file, you will see that the same class is applied on multiple places. Here also you can see I have same class applied on multiple places, and that keeps the code clean, manageable, right? Now before that, we also sort of fiddled around with our own ways of organizing the content by using padding, margin, and different positioning attributes, and we accomplished this. But after we have used Flexbox, we had more control over the layout. In fact, ignore the header because we haven't optimized it for smaller screens. But look at the below sections. It's coming exactly how we want it to. It's stacking on top of each other as the space reduces. So in order to learn Bootstrap, we have to understand the various versions. And these are simply like you have software versions, right? And you can't simply discard the older versions because there may be people who are probably using the older versions. So similarly, Bootstrap has been evolving ever since it was introduced, and you also have legacy versions like B3, B4, but at the time B5, which is Bootstrap 5, is utilized. And it says Bootstrap 5 is the newest version of Bootstrap with a smooth overhaul. However, Internet Explorer 11 and down is not supported, and jQuery is replaced with vanilla JavaScript. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. Internet Explorer 11 and below anyway is a legacy, and it's not there. Even in your laptops, you don't have Internet Explorer, you have Microsoft Edge, right? Which is essentially built on Internet Explorer, but is a much advanced version of it. And it says jQuery, which used to be a JavaScript library. jQuery was a JavaScript library, is also replaced with vanilla JavaScript. That means it is no more using a library, but rather the script itself. Okay. Now we have this option of clicking on Learn Bootstrap 5. But before we click here, let's look at the actual website of Bootstrap. Getbootstrap.com. That's the actual website. Now, if you go here and try to just go through the home page itself, you would understand more about this. It says it's a powerful, extensible, and feature packed front end toolkit. Build and customize with SAS, utilize pre built grid systems and components, and bring projects to life with powerful JavaScript clients. ठीक है? And then it gives you an option of installing it on Node environment, Node package manager. I see. Ignore that. Get started any way you want. Jump right into building with Bootstrap. Use the CDN. CDN stands for Content Delivery Network links. Install it via package manager or download the source. So it's completely open source. You don't have to pay anything. And there are many ways how you can integrate it in your projects. Right now, since we are building just static pages and we are primarily working with HTML and CSS, and we are not using any of the uh, you know uh, development environments other than just what is offered by Windows or Mac. So we don't have to worry about installing it or downloading the source package or anything complicated. We don't have to get into right now. All we have to do is look for the CDN link and refer it in the head section of the pages we are creating. Here we have option of install via package manager. Here it says include via CDN. And the latest version I can see is 5.3.3. If you remember, when we tried to create a web page with ChatGPT, there also it referred 5.3.2 and then I corrected it by saying use the latest version. So it added 5.3.3. This goes in the head section and this goes after the closing HTML tag. This refers to the JavaScript. This refers to the Bootstrap minified CSS. Okay. Now, if you copy these links, let me just copy this link. If I copy it and paste it, okay, it's a CDN link. Sorry, directly it will not be accessible. Uh, yeah, my mistake. Huh. So this is what we are referring to. It's all code, pre-written. And these are all CSS classes. The way we have created classes. So it already created classes for us and sort of created a framework for us. So we just link this and then use those classes in our project. Let's try and understand further by clicking on Learn Bootstrap 5. And then you have so many options. Methodology of learning it is going to be the same as HTML or CSS. The more you explore that, the more you are going to learn about it. Now, here it says Bootstrap 5 is the newest version of Bootstrap, which is the most popular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework for creating responsive mobile first websites. Pay attention, mobile first websites. Bootstrap 5 is completely free to download and use. Let's start learning Bootstrap now. It says get started. You can read through it, but understand here it gives the sample code to try. And if you look at this, then you will see the classes are already defined. Now this is one class, then you have another, 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 and like we had earlier learned that one div can have multiple classes assigned to it. To maintain the modularity in the code, it's a better idea that you break one mega class into multiple subclasses and then utilize it. For example, you can see container hyphen fluid is used here and container is used here. The properties of container hyphen fluid has some overlaps with container. So this class is built basically on this only, but with some added properties. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this entire code here just to get started, and we will start with a new project. I'm going to create a folder called Bootstrap, and inside that I want a new HTML file, but I'll create it here in VS Code itself. So I'm going to go to file menu, choose open folder, and double click on Bootstrap. Sorry, select Bootstrap and choose select folder. So now Bootstrap folder is loaded here. You can give it any name of your choice, by the way. I just kept Bootstrap because it will remind me. And I'm going to start with index.html. The reason that you always start with index.html in most of the cases while developing static websites is, remember yesterday's example, the name server points at the host. That means there is a folder in which files are kept. But when you type www.xyz.com, how does the name server knows which file to fetch and show you first? It does because it goes and it starts finding out index file first. So by default, it loads up the index file. Okay. The landing page is usually the index file. And whatever I say is not entirely true because there are other frameworks which does not have index.html, but they route the files in a different way. So, but in our context, the kind of things we are doing, it's a good idea to create an index.html, and I'm going to create a style.css also. Now, even though most of the styling will be done from the Bootstrap, it would be a good idea to have our own style.css as well, just in case if final tweak-ups are needed, a little bit of extra correction we want to do. Now we'll just type HTML, choose HTML5, hit tab to get the structure, and in the body, the code which we had copied from there, let me show you the code. This code, I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Now it looks pretty simple, right? Let's just quickly go through the code. So I see a body, inside the body I have a div class, right? Which ends here. I'll quickly correct the hierarchy. So this div starts here, ends here. This should start here, same level. Yeah. And then within this, I have another, and within that, I have three divs. And all these three divs have an h3 element, then two paragraph elements. Easy to understand. The structure is clean and clear, right? And all those divs have some classes applied on it already. Okay. Now, right now, if I save this file and I preview it, let me click here and go to open in browser. This is what I get. Even though I copied it from the Bootstrap example, why I'm not able to see any formatting in this? Can anyone suggest? Bootstrap link नहीं किया मैंने. I have forgotten to do that. ठीक है. So let's go find out the Bootstrap link. So how do I get that? Where to get Bootstrap 5? There are two ways to start using Bootstrap 5 on your websites. Include Bootstrap 5 from a CDN. Download Bootstrap 5 from getbootstrap.com. I would not want to download it. I would prefer to just use the codes here. So first I'm gonna copy this and I'll copy the comment as well. And above the title, I'm going to paste it. Okay. And then this one, latest compiled JavaScript, I'm gonna copy this. And after the HTML, I'm gonna paste it. ठीक है? Now, right after just pasting this one single line of code, if we switch back to the page, you will see a beautiful format. मजेदार है. और अच्छी बात ये है कि this automatically adjusts itself based on the width of the device. Okay. Now, if we use Bootstrap to build our web pages, how do we know which class to use where? Right? So, initially, you should just try out all these classes and build up one single web page. So you will have containers, you will have typography, color, tables, images, jumbotron. Now these are just the sections. Okay. So if you want to learn more about it, all you have to do is just click on this and then read about it. So Bootstrap 5 containers. How many options do we have? Two options. One is container, another is container hyphen fluid. So container fluid does what? It reaches out to the left and right and acquires as much as space it has within the browser, right? And container does what? It simply acquires the area. Now you will say, sir, what is the width of this? So you should not worry about the width of this. It is already defined in the Bootstrap library in terms of percentage. Okay. So it will automatically acquire it. And if you want to learn more about the values, here is the values of fixed container. So it says max width is 100%. But then you have extra small variation, medium, large, extra large, and double axle. Notice what it says. Use the container class to create a responsive fixed width container. Note that its width, max width, will change on different screen size. यही तो हम चाहते हैं. That we don't have to deal with media queries, na. Let the Bootstrap take care of this responsiveness thing. So here where it says container hyphen fluid, which results in a large container stretching across the entire page. What will happen if I remove this hyphen fluid from this class? Given that we understand container itself is a class, some change will happen there, right? ठीक है. So अब उतना कोड लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. 200 पिक्सल 300 पिक्सल 100% तो समस्या खत्म. You know how to understand what is this. This is a class, right? And if you want it full fluid, so that means, let's say if I want to create a div below this, fill it up with some content, right? And stretch it across the page. Okay? So I'll go back to the box example. And I'll open it with VS Code. Now this whole thing, the big box and small box within that, I'll copy this entire thing, go to the index, and right after this div I'll paste it. ठीक है. अब इसको हम बूटस्ट्रैप से कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश करेंगे. ऊपर वाला तो हो ही रहा है, पहले देख लेते हैं वेब पेज में क्या हुआ. नाउ क्योंकि बिग बॉक्स और स्मॉल बॉक्स का जो CSS था वो पूरा गायब हो गया है जब मैंने इसको कॉपी किया, तो अनएक्सपेक्टेड ही रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे आपको. यहाँ पे ऐसा दिख रहा है. ठीक है। अब जब मैं वहां के सीएसएस को यूज ही नहीं कर रहा तो ये नाम भी क्यों रखने हैं? लेट्स जस्ट रिमूव ऑल दीज नेम्स and try using Bootstrap. So first, I'll not go anywhere else. I'll just take a reference from here only. So I want this class, the first div, which encapsulates all three of other divs to stretch fully across the page. So what should I type here? Should be a container, and what kind of container? A fluid container. Now automatically it will give me some options, and the good part, because I have Copilot enabled in it, so it is giving me options from the Bootstrap library. That's the best thing. So it is asking me to set the background as dark, text as white, and text to be centered, and padding to be 5. 5 is not the precise 5 pixels. It's broken like 5. You have I'll show you the padding values. 5 sets how much, and then 6 sets how much, or 10 sets how much. All those values are there. Hmm. So for now I'll just escape, and I just want the container to be fluid. Okay, let's see if that happened or not in the web page. क्यों नहीं कुछ हुआ? बिकॉज container डॉट फ्लूइड ने container तो सेट कर दिया, बट बैकग्राउंड यहाँ देखो बीजी प्राइमरी है ना, यहाँ पे बीजी डार्क का ऑप्शन आया था मेरे पास, ये बोल रहा था। मैं एक काम करता हूँ, इसके सारे वैल्यूज को एक्सेप्ट करता हूँ। ठीक है, तो बीजी डार्क टेक्स्ट व्हाइट होगा, उसके अंदर सेंटर में होगा, और पैडिंग 5 होगा। आ गया? ठीक है, अब मैं इसको हटा, टेक्स्ट व्हाइट रहने देता हूँ, टेक्स्ट सेंटर, और ये कट कर लेता हूँ, फिर देखता हूँ क्या होता है। ठीक है, तो यहां पे सिर्फ एक क्लास ऐड करने से टेक्स्ट सेंटर, इट सेंटर्स एवरीथिंग, ऑल द टेक्स्ट। ठीक है, सो हम ऐसे ही रहने देते हैं अभी फिलहाल। अब एंड डिड यू नोटिस दैट इट चेंज द टेक्स्ट ऑल्सो? जो डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग्स थे टेक्स्ट के, सेरिफ फॉन्ट्स थे, हियर आई सी sans serif fonts. So all those things, let's say I don't want this, I don't want the text to be affected by the Bootstrap. So I can add one more of my custom class to it, and then define that class in the CSS. ठीक है, that I can do. So for example, here if I say I assign it a my class, let's say my section, and I come here and define the font of my section, font family, to be Georgia times New Roman times serif. हुआ? नहीं हुआ? ठीक लिखा है मैंने, माई सेक्शन। हाँ, माई सेक्शन, माई सेक्शन। चेंज हुआ या नहीं हुआ? नहीं हुआ, नथिंग चेंज। इज दिस द राइट? हाँ, क्या बात है, क्या बात है, थैंक यू सो मच। मुझे लग रहा है कि अब मैंने कुछ पढ़ाया है। अब लिंक हो गया, अब चेंज होना चाहिए। चेंज हुआ? ठीक है, समझ में आ गया? ठीक, अब ये बॉक्स वाले को मैं कट कर देता हूँ, मुझे नहीं चाहिए अभी ये, और इसको अभी रहने देते हैं ऐसे ही। ये भी मुझे अभी करना नहीं था, पर आई जस्ट शोड यू दैट इट्स पॉसिबल। ठीक है, back to the original. Now inside the divs which we have has no class right now assigned to it, and I want to split it in 3 columns like this. ठीक है, so how do we do that? Let's study this one. Now the way Bootstrap creates columns, that one div which contains all the children's should be defined as row, and all the children's should have column definition with how much space. So it's the I'll teach you, show you the bootstrap grid also. Usually what it does is it splits the entire screen into 12 columns, and then you can assign multiple columns to one you can club columns. Basically the way you do it in any other graphic design program, you have grids. So you break it in 12 columns, and one part can occupy 6 columns, another can occupy 3 3, or 4 4 4, but the result should always come to 12. Okay, for the right definition. So here also if you add up 4 4 4, it comes to 12, right? Now I'll show you the example. Here I can also say 3 3 and 6. Let's see what happens. है ना मजेदार? याद है ये करते समय क्या हुआ था? अब कितना मजा आ रहा है ना? अब बोलोगे सर इसमें तो दिख ही नहीं रहा पूरा क्लियर डिस्टिंक्शन. सो यू ऐड अनदर क्लास एंड डिफाइन दैट. इफ यू वांट अ बैकग्राउंड देयर, यू कैन डू दैट. और यहाँ पे अगर तुम्हें बीजी प्राइमरी चाहिए तो यहाँ पे भी डाल सकते हो बीजी प्राइमरी. तो उस वाले में बीजी प्राइमरी आ जाएगा. ये आ गया. ठीक है. अब बीजी प्राइमरी की जगह बीजी डार्क चाहिए, डार्क डाल दो. और डार्क के साथ टेक्स्ट को व्हाइट करना जरूरी है. ये देखो. So very quickly you can manipulate the layout if you know the bootstrap. ठीक है. So I'm just gonna remove this entire thing from here and skip it. So that means all of these needs to be wrapped in a div which will have a class. Which class? हाँ, जोर से बोलो. हाँ, रो. और ये जो div क्लोज हुआ है ये यहाँ पे नहीं होगा ना. कहाँ पे आएगा? एक, दो, तीन, और इसके नीचे आ जाएगा. हायरार्कीज मेंटेन करनी चाहिए आपको. मैं इसका भी एक शॉर्टकट बता दूंगा. ऑटो फॉर्मेटिंग ऑप्शन होता है इसके अंदर, तो थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर अगर मिस्टेक है तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली फॉर्मेट कर देगा. मैं बता दूंगा. एक सिंपल सा कमांड है, इनबिल्ट है इनफैक्ट वीएस कोड में, एचटीएमएल और सीएसएस के लिए. जैसे ही मैंने इसको रो किया है, क्या इसके बाद कुछ चेंज आया यहाँ पे? नहीं, बिकॉज इनके क्लास को तो मुझे कॉलम डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा ना. सो मैं कॉलम एसएम 3 कर देता हूं इसको, या इसको 4 करना होगा मुझे. फिर कॉपी करेंगे, सेव करेंगे, 3 कॉलम में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाएगा. इजी है ना? अब मुझे नेविगेशन ऐड करना है. अभी देखो इसमें एक अच्छी चीज क्या है, ये सारा का सारा रेस्पॉन्सिव है. ठीक है. नाउ लेट्स क्विकली फाइंड आउट हाउ वी कैन ऐड अ नेविगेशन टू इट. उठाओ, बाहर जाओ. So let's look at the list of things we have and try to find out if we can get nav somewhere. दिख रहा है कहीं किसी को? हाँ, ये nav bar ही तो चाहिए हमें. Let's click on that. So it says bootstrap 5 nav bar, navigation bars, and navigation bar is a navigation. Yes, I understand that. Then you have basic nav bar, and if you keep on scrolling you have vertical nav bar also, and centered nav bar, colored. Keep on scrolling, brand with logo, right? The complete nav bar, यहाँ nav bar forms and buttons. So I have a search form also in the nav bar, right? Then you have fixed navigation bar. So if you scroll, the navigation bar will not move, it will be fixed. That option is also there. Then bottom fixed navigation is also there, right? So I'll let you guys try this one, but just show you the first option. So basic nav bar. If I copy paste this link, I'll get this. Okay. So let's go for, yeah, this one, nav bar forms and buttons. So I'm just going to copy this entire thing from here and go to VS Code and write where the body tag is opening, press enter and then paste the code. And couple of enter to just segregate the navigation from rest of the code. So this part defines my navigation. And you can see so many classes are already assigned to it, right? Let's go to the page we had created and there is our navbar. And we can change the name of the links. How do we change that? Li list items. Inside that we have a links, right? And there is the text. So I can say about us, projects, downloads. We will have to accordingly change the links also pointing at the right pages. And essentially, once you build the whole navigation, you just have to copy the same thing and repeat it in all the pages you will create. So right now I have index.html. I can have a about.html as well, where I'll paste the same navigation. Okay, exactly right after opening the body tag. Let's go back and you see all the three links are working. Now, who will tell me if I need to restrict this navigation within this area? How do I do that? What to change? Where should I change? Line number बताओ. हाँ 15. So line 15 में क्या करूं? कंटेनर हटा दूं, फ्लूइड हटा दूं. अच्छा तो हो जाना चाहिए ना. कितना टाइम लगा? मजा आ रहा है. सो अब तुम जब पढ़ते जाओगे तुम्हें पता चलेगा यू कैन मेक ड्रॉप डाउन मेनूज ऑल्सो, यू कैन मेक कार्ड्स, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ कार्ड्स यू कैन मेक प्रोग्रेस बार्स, you can make badges, button groups, alerts, so many things you can build. So for example, let's say there is this called jumbotron. What it is just a big patch, with some large heading and some text, and these are the classes assigned to it. Okay, so you can read that, and if you want you can straight away just copy this whole code. And I want the jumbotron after everything I have on the page. No, no, thank you. There goes my jumbotron. Okay, of course we'll have to customize it a little. And the colors, if it is not looking so nice to you, two choices you have. You go to Bootstrap and click on colors and then look for the color options you have. So here it talks about the text colors first. So you have text muted, text primary, text success, info, warning, danger, secondary, white, dark, body, and text light. Then you have background colors, BG primary, success, BG info. So instead of BG primary, if you want to use BG light, you can use BG light, which will give you this color. You have BG dark, you have BG secondary, and then you have these examples, which is a mix of the background colors and the text colors on that. Now, if you don't want these colors and you want your custom colors, I have already showed you the way of doing that. For example, let's say here, instead of BG primary, I want a different color. Okay, so how do we do that? We remove the BG primary and add our own class. Sorry, we remove the BG primary, delete it, and add our own class. Now, as a habit, it's always a good idea that you add your custom classes at the end. Okay, so that you don't get it mixed up with Bootstrap classes. So this is my okay, this container. Let me look at the, I forgot the web page layout. Okay, so I removed BG primary, and that's why I am not able to see that blue color. So let me say, I'll just call it hero and define hero here, and I can go for a background color of my choice. ठीक है, so customization समझ में आ गया. हम्म? ठीक है. अच्छा, by the way, you can also add images. Now I'll hit tab and it gives me options for setting up the background image and tweaking up the properties, which gives us a better control. Okay, so let's have a look at these options real quick. So this background image got added, and where is it getting downloaded from? Somewhere in the internet it is referring. That means I can replace this URL to have any background image of our choice. That means I can also load it from the local folder. I can place it there, right? And give it just the URL. So that is one way. Now height is 100%. What if I want to increase the height of it? And what is 100% mean basically? So 100% is this content has some padding applied on it. So the line height of these two lines along with the padding applied on it becomes the 100%. Okay. So rather than 100%, if I go for let's say 450 pixels, I have a bigger image. It depends, totally depends. And see, if I say use percentage, then in some cases it will be wrong. If I say use fixed values, then in some cases it will be wrong. So with experience, you will find out where to use what. Fine. Now background position is center. I have, if the background image is bigger, I have other options also. Now in this case, left is not changing anything in the position of the, and this is probably because the background size is set to cover. है ना? Now, if you want to learn about any of these, you just select the property, go to the w3cschools.com and go to the CSS, and here you can, I think you don't even have to go to the CSS. You can simply type background size and it gives you the option of looking in detail what it is about. CSS background size property, and there is your example. So in the example one, it says the background size is set to auto In the second example, it is giving the dimension in pixels about the width and the height of it. So you can just tweak this up a little and then see it for yourself how it works. Okay. Now, there are some more properties of background size. So let's look at those. Now, these are the values, right? Either it is going to be auto, length, cover, contain, initial और inherit. ये क्या है? तो यहां हम पढ़ सकते हैं. Auto is the default value. The background image is displayed in its original size. Original size का क्या मतलब है? अब बोलोगे इसका original size कैसे पता चलेगा सर? So we'll copy the URL or we can simply right click on it and choose छोड़ो यहाँ पे URL paste कर दूंगा ना. This is the image, right? So if I download this image, open this, oh, sorry, then right click on it and choose properties. We will learn about its size in the details tab. 1200 by 700 pixels. That's the dimension we are dealing with, right? So when it is set to auto, the background image is displayed in its original size. पूरा original size. हाँ, ऐसी बात अगर है तो हम इसको कवर की जगह ऑटो करके देखते हैं क्या होता है. हो गया छोटा. So cover is the property which is actually stretching the image and filling it in the entire space. So cover पढ़ लेते हैं. Resize the background image to cover the entire container, even if it has to stretch the image or cut a little bit of one of the edges. है ना amazing चीज. Crop कर रहा है image. सिर्फ एक line cover, that's it. Now then you have content also. Resize the background image to make sure the image is fully visible. ठीक है? And you have some more properties. So you can read about it. Let me go back to the code and I'm gonna of course set it back to cover. Then you have repeat also. Do you know that I can set it to what was before this? Auto. Let's set it to auto and I can repeat it and repeat in X direction. दो इमेज आ गए साइड बाय साइड है ना. So I can do that. I can repeat it in Y direction also, but in this case it will not be visible. So I'm gonna set it to no repeat. And then position also I can change. So for example, if I am setting it to auto and left, the image will be on the left hand side. I can set it to right also. The image is gonna go on the right hand side, and I can set it to center as well, and it will be in the center. So full level of control. Okay, I'm gonna set this auto back to cover. Now those who are wondering कि सर ये text जो है मुझे बीच में चाहिए, ये सही नहीं लग रहा मुझे, क्या कर सकते? What can we do? ये लिखा है इसमें और ये टेक्स्ट सेंटर तो लिखा है, तो सेंटर हो रहा है. जब हम बूटस्ट्रैप यूज कर रहे हैं, सो स्टूडेंट विल लुक फॉर समथिंग विच इज देयर इन द बूटस्ट्रैप. ठीक है, तो हम यहाँ आते हैं और यहाँ भी आते हैं लेकिन मैं चैट जीपीटी में जाऊंगा क्योंकि मैं तुम्हें दिखाना चाहता हूं कि चैट जीपीटी को भी बूटस्ट्रैप पता है. आई एम यूजिंग बूटस्ट्रैप 5.3.3. tell me how to tell me the class which sets the vertical center for any container. Okay. Now here it is giving me a lot of options. So first it is telling me that deflex, align item center, justify content center, and vertical height is 100. That is how I can make it vertically center. Now remember in the last class when we were studying flexbox, the vertical center could be done with a property align items center. It further goes on and explains all those classes to us as well. Things become much easier here. D-flex enables flexbox. So just adding a class D-flex enables the flexbox. Hello? Yes. So this D-flex will do what? It will turn that into a flex box if you assign that class. Then comes align item center, centers item vertically. Then it gives justify content center and tells me centers items horizontally optional. मुझे ये तो करना नहीं है, ऑलरेडी किया हुआ है वहां पे, टेक्स्ट लाइन सेंटर किया हुआ है. एंड देन VH100 सेट्स द हाइट टू 100% ऑफ द व्यू पोर्ट हाइट. मतलब अगर मैं VH सेंटर करूंगा तो जितना व्यू पोर्ट का हाइट है ना उसके 100% के बराबर उसका साइज बना देगा. मुझे वो भी नहीं चाहिए. So I'm looking for only two properties. One is deflex and then align items center. These two should help us setting up this properly. So I'm gonna paste it right before my custom class, which is hero. So deflex and align items center. If everything is fine, we should see. No, this okay, fine. The moment we did flex, this text dot center is not working out. But vertical center, we have managed to achieve it. Let's just go back to the Bootstrap, ChatGPT and copy this line of code as well. Justify content center. And we will paste it here. Now let's see what changed. Now it needs to go on top of each other. How do we do that? No, there was something in the flex box, remember? Row, wrap, wrap, flex wrap, right? So let's ask ChatGPT. How do we wrap the content within? So it gives us use deflex, flex wrap, flex wrap. Okay, let's copy this. Allows the content to wrap to the next line when necessary. Rest everything is fine. So I'm gonna put here flex wrap as well. That should get us no. Hmm. should actually wrap it. Mm, so this much of classes, what if we write our own? Text is centered now. Um एक बार पूछ लेते हैं. No, we have to use deflex. That's the only option. And otherwise, what we can do is display flex, flex wrap, wrap. Let's see what it does. And align items center. हेलो. हाँ बोलिए. हम्म, हम्म. 12:30. 12:30, so I'll be in the class. And my co-faculty is also not here. So I'm the only one. हाँ बट क्लास में ही रहूंगा मैं. ठीक है. I'll attend from the class. ठीक है. तपन है नहीं, वो छुट्टी पे है. आई डोंट नो वेयर ही इज राइट. बट आप इंक्लूड तो कर ही दो उसको. No, vertical height. Should we use vertical height? So vertical height will set this entire height to the viewport's height. That we don't want. I just want to bring this in the center of the page. Ah, and somehow these classes are not making it work. Anyway, we'll solve that. That is always an option, but I don't want to do that. Centering the text is not the challenge. The way we want to do it is challenge. So I don't want to write these codes and use just bootstrap classes. नहीं होगा तो हम ऐसे कर ही लेंगे, इस तरह से कर लेंगे. ठीक है. देखो यहाँ पे फ्लेक्स BS5 बूटस्ट्रैप 5 में फ्लेक्स बॉक्स दिखाया है. सो इसमें वर्टिकल डायरेक्शन फ्लेक्स कॉलम बता रहा है. ठीक है. सेंटर में हो गया था ना जब हम कर रहे थे, तो इट केम टू द सेंटर राइट. पर वो कॉलम में नहीं ब्रेक हो रहा था, इतना बच रहा था. फिर से ट्राई करते हैं एक बार. कौन कौन से थे क्लासेस याद है? इधर चैट जीपीटी में था लिखा हुआ. सो डी फ्लेक्स था. डी फ्लेक्स था. और अलाइन आइटम सेंटर था. आइटम्स सेंटर. अलाइन आइटम्स सेंटर, और हम यूज करेंगे फ्लेक्स कॉलम। लेट्स होप, सॉरी वो तो किया नहीं, नहीं, just a second. ये ठीक है, but the moment I put flex column, it goes to the top. It's not, it's no more align text item center is working on. तो पता है इसको कैसे ठीक कर सकते हैं अगर ये बहुत जिद्दी हो गया है तो? इसको एक div में रैप कर देते हैं। Let's try that. अब ये हो गया। So there is always a way. ठीक है? So I could have done it with by the, but by explicitly defining all the things here in the custom class, or I could dig a little deep and try and understand if there are some structural changes which needs to be done, right? Just by wrapping these two elements with a div, even though this div does not have any classes or anything, just wrapping these two into one solved the problem, and using these classes. So I'm using deflex, align item center, justify content center. Okay, which one? So deflex turns this into a flex box. If I use this class deflex, see, understand, this is a class which I defined, and for this class there are some rules which I have written. Now these are also the classes for which rules are already predefined in the Bootstrap library. We don't know about all those rules, but if we want to read out those rules, we can actually read out those rules. So deflex does what? It simply sets that to flex box. अच्छा, हो सकता है यहां पे दिख जाए, मैं इंस्पेक्ट कर रहा हूं और यहां पे हम ये वाला div चूज करते हैं, ठीक है, और यहां देखते हैं, इंक्वायर करते हैं, तो यहां पे तुम्हें सारी वैल्यूज मिल जाएंगी कि इसमें P5 से पैडिंग 3 रेम का है, 3 रेम इज द पैडिंग P5। अलाइन आइटम सेंटर के अंदर कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी है? अलाइन आइटम्स सेंटर इंपॉर्टेंट। डीफ्लेक्स के अंदर क्या है? डिस्प्ले इज सेट टू फ्लेक्स। एंड ये जो एक्सक्लेमेशन के साथ इंपॉर्टेंट देख रहे हो ना, वो सिर्फ सुपरसीड करने के लिए कि अगर कोई लोकल स्टाइल्स है तो उसको सुपरसीड कर जाएगा। Cascading style sheet में whenever you see exclamation, that means we are superseding that rule. When we will customize WordPress themes, then we will use that exclamation important a lot of times. ठीक है, I can show you that also. WordPress customization अभी नहीं दिखाऊंगा, confusing होगा। So आज का अभी का तुम्हारा टारगेट है कि तुम्हें Bootstrap में थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल आ जाना चाहिए। At least you should be able to build one whole page and try to use as many as elements mentioned here, ठीक है, as many as elements you want. So images का देखो, अब images में you have these 3 options, rounded corners, हाँ, अब सिर्फ क्लास में अगर राउंडेड है इमेज में तो वो उसको राउंड कर देगा ऑटोमेटिकली, राउंडेड कॉर्नर्स आ जाएगा, तुम्हें पूरा लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है कि border radius 5 pixel 5 pixel 5 you don't have to write that, you just have to choose the class as rounded, that's all. ठीक है. अच्छा, before I proceed further, one last thing for this morning session, we have worked with text but we have not yet imported images into our. Acha, another important thing I wanted to show you. See, the amazing thing about Bootstrap is if you reduce the size, see what happens to the navigation. मजा आया? And this was the challenge everyone faced while reducing the size of their web pages, like changing the size. So this is what responsive means. After a certain point, it will change it, and you will get the smell. Okay? So two more things I'll show you. One, how to work with images, how to import that, and keep it in the right place. That's the main important thing. Another is how do we link one page with another. Two last things I'll show you. First, we need some image. So let me go back, and we don't have anything here. So I'll go inside Bootstrap and let me find out one image. So I'll just copy this. Okay, I'll just copy this one. Control C and paste it here. And I'll change the name of it. Call it my image. Okay. Now I'll create one folder also and call it images. Okay. So first I'll try to bring the image from the root folder itself, which is not a good practice because you may end up having so many images, and if you keep all of them in the root folder, it will be difficult, है ना, managing them. So I want to display the image on my web page. Let's say here in the column 4. So after heading and above paragraph, so I'll type in img and hit tab. It takes me to the source. Now all I have to do is choose forward slash, gives me access to the directory, and I can choose my image dot png. ठीक है. So forward slash my image dot png. If everything is fine, लिखो मत अभी, गलत भी हो सकता है ना. हाँ. So if I go to the web page, I should find that image, right? The image is there, right? पर इमेज का साइज का क्या हालत हो गया, है ना? साइज पूरा बिगड़ गया बिल्कुल ऐसा. So here in the before the alt tag, I also have option of setting up the width of the image. So insert दब गया क्या? Or after the alt also I can do that. So width, and let's say I set the width to let's set it to 200 pixels. क्या हो रहा है ये? Just a second. ना. ठीक है. width is 200 pixels. Let's text. So the image comes where it is supposed to be. Now since we are using Bootstrap, so what I can do is image and say rounded, and that should round the corners. Did round the corners, right? If you want more control, write the codes. You already know how to write those codes. So image I have successfully brought here. Now let's go back to the folder I have. I want this image to be kept inside this, not outside. So I'll just drag it and take it inside. Now if I come back here, code does not show any errors at all, right? कोई error है? No error. Now if I go to the web page, the image is gone. I can't see the image now. So what happened to the image? है ना? So हम क्या कर सकते हैं उसको ठीक करने के लिए? यहाँ पे एक डॉट लगाते हैं और फिर चेक करते हैं. अभी भी नहीं आया. हम फिर से लोड करने की कोशिश करते हैं. I'll put forward slash, gives me access to the images, enter, and then inside my images.png. So within the root folder, first it navigates to the images folder, and forward slash it navigates to the image we want. Now if I go back, I should see that image. समझ में आ गया? ठीक है. अगर मैं width को 100% सेट कर दूं तो क्या होगा? That will acquire the entire column 4 space. सो कॉलम 4 का इतना स्पेस था, उसने पूरा कॉलम 4 ऑक्यूपाई किया. सो आई कैन ऑल्सो सेट इट टू 60%, and that way controlling the size is a much better option. I can have this image in all three of my ठीक है, समझ में आ गया? क्लियर है? Any confusion? So now you know how to use Bootstrap. Now the more you refer to this documentation, the better you will be at building up the web pages. And now building the web page is such an easy task. ठीक है. सो अच्छा, एक और चीज देखो, एक और चीज बताता हूँ. ये जो अभी पेज में स्क्रॉल कर रहा हूं, सो ये बैकग्राउंड जो है ना, वो बैकग्राउंड पेज के साथ साथ स्क्रॉल हो रहा है, करेक्ट? पर अगर मैं एक सिंपल लाइन ऑफ कोड चेंज करूं, ये हीरो यहाँ पे लिखा है, सो कहीं ना कहीं कस्टम स्टाइल पे थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल होना जरूरी है. एक प्रॉपर्टी है जिसका नाम है बैकग्राउंड अटैचमेंट, और अगर मैं इसको फिक्स कर दूं तो देखो क्या मजा आएगा यहाँ. सो तुम जो फैंसी स्टाइल्स सब देखते हो ना, ऐसे ये वो ऐसा, दिस इज जस्ट वन सिंगल लाइन ऑफ कोड. ठीक है. So that would be all for today's demonstration.